Okay, so this next chapter has I mean this next chapter made me cry, and it's actually it's some of my favorite writing of all time by Lalo. So if you're watching, Lalo, thanks, and I'm really looking forward to it.
What's up, John? Long time no see.
John smiles at her through his hair as he waves hello. One quick slice of his hand through the air, twisting at the wrist. It comes off as shy and boyish instead of hangdog. A good sign. Maybe her jokey, casual approach is the right one. That would be handy, because that's really the best angle she's got. She mirrors the movement with her own hand and steps aside for him to come in.
Well, all right then, pal. I do believe you know the way to the living room.
Yeah, yep. Thanks.
He clears his throat and follows her gesture. She walks a little behind him, watching his eyes catch on the thing she expected. A coat waxed, covered in scarves, the wall of family photos, a super badass sculpture some chess guys made for her that John always said was weirdly sexual for them. He looks at it now like it's something from an almost forgotten dream. Roxy sighs.
Sorry for staring like an idiot. I just got done with a whole week of feeling weird about hanging out in my dad's old house again. I kinda forgot to think about how it would be surreal coming back here, too. Some kind of nostalgia whiplash, I guess.
Fair enough, yo.
She faces him, seated cross-legged on the couch a polite distance away. He looks past her, almost through her, like he usually does. She knows him well enough to know that what he's politely not asking.
Harry Anderson's out, if you were wondering. He'll scoot back home later, so if you make it through round one of Awkward Ex-Family Convo, I'm happy to say you can be rewarded with another.
Oh, cool. I'd like to see him, if it's okay with both of you.
Yeah, we chatted about it. But like I said, one thing at a time. Let's me and you hear this old Egbert Lalonde estrangement band-aid right the fuck off and see what we got going underneath it.
John laughs, and there's a shadowed flicker of warmth to it. Roxy immediately wants to fan it, to make him laugh for real, but she knows by now that it's not her job to make him happy. That was something she gave up on years ago. But wanting to? That feeling is still as fresh as it always was.
Sounds like a plan. So, I've been doing a lot of thinking recently, and I've realized some things. Some stuff that involves you and some that doesn't, but all things I think you deserve to know. Whew. Okay, let me think where to start. You know how Jake left Jane? I mean, I assume you know. Though, no offense, but Jane's version might be skewed.
Oh, LMAO, nah, I didn't hear it from JD. Harry Anderson filled me in on what he got through the grapevine.
Oh, are you guys not... Never mind, I'm sorry. I came to apologize for my shit, not pry into your business. We don't have to talk about Jane if you don't want to.
Roxy shrugs. She's still working through what she feels about distancing herself from Jane, but John actually isn't the worst person she could talk to about it. If he's truly about to be real with her for the first time in forever, she might as well try to meet him halfway.
Janie and me haven't been super tight of late.
Ah, what about politics not coming between friends and all that?
LMAO. Well, turns out sometimes someone's politics make it pretty clear what kind of friends they value, or don't. And I don't know, sometimes people you used to like when you were a teen grow up to be assholes or whatever. I think I was clinging to something just to prove to myself that I was doing stuff right. Oh, Rolal, hella normal, very good at sticking with friends. The more I thought about it, the more I figured holding on to that one thing made me lose out on some other shit. You might relate.
You got me there, I guess.
Anyways, I'm not trying to take up all your big speech time with my stuff. You were telling me about Jake and Janie finally went splits ways and how it gave you some kind of epiphany.
No, it's cool. I'm glad to hear it. We can come back to your shit after my shit, maybe. But yeah, Jake, he and Tavros are living with me now. I think for the foreseeable future. We were expecting Jane to have kind of a fit about it, but all we've gotten so far are some divorce papers. If she knows where Jake is, and she hasn't had a drone fleet dispatched to nuke my house off the planet, I think that's a good sign she's actually just letting them go. Which is kind of surprising, but, good, I guess.
Okay, I'll be the first to admit that Jane's turned into kind of a jerk lately, but you know she's not actually, like, literally evil. Lol.
That's debatable.
Sorry to disappoint, but Jane's just a person, and you can't actually blame her for everything that went wrong in our marriage like I was her helpless thrall or something.
That's not what I was saying.
Okay, neither of us came here to argue about Janie, did we?
You're right. Let's just not talk about her.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've been doing a lot of thinking about how things got to be like they are. I guess I'll just come out and say it. I completely fucked up your entire life. I'm not going to pretend like there are two sides here. It's my bad, totally. Like, not just what happened to our marriage, though it's also true, but that's completely my fault. But even before that, I think I fucked up on just this massive fundamental level, and it's what I did, or well, what I didn't do, that caused every stupid bullshit thing about the way this world is. None of this was supposed to be this way. Honestly, it doesn't feel right that we got married at all, does it? Your life was heading in this whole other direction with Callie, and I don't know. I just kind of took that from you. I think I ended up taking a lot of decisions from a lot of people. Everything took a back seat to what I wanted. Whatever cosmic significance the lives here do or don't have, all the pointless suffering I've created is inhumane, and...
Ugh, nah, I'll stop you right there, my man.
She feels a little bit bad cutting him off. This conversational space they've carved out for themselves is balanced on a tenuous trust, and she doesn't want to scare him away. It's just that she could feel his whole speech gathered up inside of him, poised to gush out in a long rote ramble, and it's frankly just some bullshit. She knows more than he does, and she doesn't need to hear it. She's not a kid anymore, and she doesn't have to pretend someone else is right just to keep the peace if she doesn't want to.
I'm sorry, John. I love you, but this is some hot, steamin' horse shit.
What?
John's gaze slides over to focus sharply on her face, remembering the first time since he showed up on her doorstep. Goosebumps trail down her shoulders, but she doesn't let the closeness of it distract her from her frustration.
It's some real jerk-off emoji stuff is all I'm saying. You think your choice mattered so much that no one else's could measure up? And then what? Did you get what you wanted? Did you get your life and the points got tallied and you came out on top, or like what? Still pretty much like we were moving to me. And you sure don't seem like you're winning, so where's all this good shit you got when you gotta go around handing out apologies for? Also, damn dude, while we're at it, you forgot to actually say sorry in that apology?
No, I didn't. I just meant, I'm sorry for fucking up your life, for making it not...
I like my life. I mean, it ain't perf, and I got my share of fuck-ups and mistakes in there, but you don't gotta tell me it's fucked up. Or that it isn't real or something, it's mine.
So much for the jokey, comfortable approach. She tilts her chin up and tries to breathe evenly as she holds eye contact. He's been looking at her, really looking at her, and she doesn't want to blink, just in case that shatters it. John doesn't respond. He just sits there with his mouth hanging open, staring. He blinks a few times, slow, but he's still focused completely on her. The corners of his still open mouth pull themselves up helplessly into a smile.
What are you looking at me like that for?
No, I'm sorry. It's just, I used to be so angry that you wouldn't tell me what you really thought before. Not like I wanted to fight, but like, I'm just not used to this flavor of Roxy.
Sounds to me like you just disproved your own hotshot theory then, genius.
Huh?
You wished I was one way the whole time we were married, but I wasn't. But now that you're all convinced you're the only real boy in a crowd of puppets, here I am being just like you ordered, only I did it without your help. Widen your zoom, my man. I'm not acting like this now because you want me to or because you don't want me to. I was bad at standing up for myself, and I'm learning to be good at it now. I got my own self-actualization train. You're just pulling in on one of many Roxy figures some shit-out stations right as I built it.
But you were never like that before
Dude, where the fuck do you get off trying to decide what is or isn't being like me? Enough. Do you think people stay the same their whole damn lives or what?
You've really never felt like anything about our lives here was off?
Off from what exactly?
The way things should be?
What does that mean?
John's mouth opens and closes. It seems there's something stuck in the spokes of his rhetorical tire. Roxy can see the gears struggling to turn in his head. She almost feels bad for him. Roxy lets herself take a moment. She doesn't want to reassure him with lies, to tell him he's never fucked up anything in his life. But she doesn't want to twist the knife of blame further into him than it needs to go. So she shrugs, looks her ex-husband in the eyes, and tells him the truth.
I mean, I felt something, I guess, but it's not just you. You've never been the only player in this game, you know. Do you not remember who all was there when all kicked off? Me and Callie would have told you you had a choice if it was all just some meaningless BS. It's not like I was ever some master seer of all that ever was or will be, but I do know a little bit about what could have gone down if things were different. And you know what? I like the way things out turned just fucking fine. So maybe you could stop wasting precious eternity thinking you're so special that it's your fault everyone's not perfectly happy.
John is quiet. Roxy has more to say, maybe. More things she's half thought about but never quite put words to regarding the paths her life could have taken. This is where you get a lot of truth for one moment, though, so she pats John's knee and walks to the kitchen for some water. A glass in each hand, Roxy leans against the counter, breathing. She's still running on the adrenaline of getting all that out, and the surface of the water trembles with it. She watches the ripples, watches her hands. She wonders if they will ever wrinkle. When she sits back down next to John, he takes the glass wordlessly. After a minute of reflective sipping, which she is grateful for, he speaks.
I just kept wanting to find ways to make everything make sense, you know? But maybe it just fucking doesn't.
I know we became grown-ups in a world built specifically cosmically for us, so I get wanting to find a pattern in everything, but not everything has to be that deep. And when you think about it, looking at it that way, like everything has to be this elaborately purposeful, heroic design to be worthwhile, is actually pretty shallow.
Oh. Yeah, I guess.
John stretches, scratches the back of his head like an anime love interest, and lets out one mind-fucked exhale of a laugh. His features are droopy, his whole body tired from the mental wringer he just went through, but he's still looking at her for real. Fondness surges through her. Not in the way where she fears the reignition of any romantic feeling. It's just that she understands him. And he's starting to understand her. It's comfortable the way an old t-shirt you thought you lost, but discovered in the back of the closet is comfortable. Smells mostly musty, but still enough like home to knock you right on your ass.
I'm sorry. It's just so hard to not feel like a total asshole. Maybe I'm not some grand vizier of destroying time and space or whatever, but we know that there's a canon timeline out there, and it seems really obvious to me that we aren't in it anymore.
So what?
So what?
Yeah, so what? The fuck do I care that there's some other reality out there some arbitrarily decided was the real one? What's that have to do with the life I have now? What is there actually that makes this one mean less than the one to the people who are actually in it?
You never feel like it would have been better if things had gone a different way? Magic or no, I could have done a lot differently, for you especially. Stuck around or... fuck. Stayed out of your way to begin with. Let you and Callie do your thing, or do whatever it was you seemed to be headed off to do. I just didn't expect it to be me, after...
Roxy wrinkles her nose. Thinking about all the lives she could have led makes her feel dizzy.
Nah, don't say that. I mean, I accept your apology this time, but there's all kinds of ways shit could have gone. And TBH back then with her, mostly, I think I just wanted to do stuff right. Not that I knew what the fuck that even meant, which was the problem. Just like we had this big fresh as hell start at being people. I had all these conflicting thoughts about how to be me in the first place. Like what it meant to date a beautiful skull alien, sexuality-wise and gender-wise and person in general-wise. For a while there, I didn't know if I wanted people to think of me as a woman at all.
I didn't know. Well, I guess maybe I wondered. But the way young idiot me would have wondered, so not that deeply. And it seemed like you'd forgotten all about it when we got together.
I hadn't forgotten about it.
Do you want to talk about it?
I could have told you then, but I kind of felt embarrassed about flip-flopping with my identity, I think. I mean, it isn't like I grew up with big air quotes society telling me what was right and wrong like you did, so it wasn't any kind of shame fest, just a lot of abstract hypotheticals we'd only just started talking about and never got very far into. Just, I don't know, I thought I might do things one way, but then I stopped hanging out with Callie as much. It's not like I stopped thinking about it, or her. but I never really came back up with anyone else, and I didn't really feel like I could talk about it with you, so I just never brought it up again.
I'm really sorry you felt that way, Roxy.
It's okay, it's not your fault.
But you don't regret it? Not going for that stuff and instead just marrying me? I'm not asking so you can absolve me, I'm just impressed. How do you not second guess every choice you make?
I haven't stuck my head in the timeline vortex like you have, so I don't know what it's like to see the other options. I just do things the best way I think to do them, and then I shrug and hope it works out.
Roxy thinks about time and the spirals of choice that hang just outside her periphery, and the vertigo grows. She rolls the word regret around in her brain. She feels it on her tongue. John waits.
I don't think I can regret anything. There's not only one right way to be, in my opinion. I like the me I am. It's not like I went and decided, actually, hell, you love to be a woman and do all the shit on the woman checklist. I get that that's what it looks like outside of my own self, but I don't care about that. Sorry, I'm not good at this whole explaining what transpires in my brain thing.
John shrugs, and Roxy gives herself time to think. She remembers how confusing it felt to even approach her identity when this stuff first hit her. There'd been some vague truth about the uselessness of rules about how gender should be, but she never quite worked it out. She'd stopped thinking about it until she got pregnant. Then she had been so afraid that having a baby would confirm some deep truth within her that she'd pushed away, but that it would be too late to back out. That hadn't happened, and instead there was the strange, all-consumingly bodily relief she felt when somehow being pregnant had felt right. It was good in the opposite way than she had expected. She hadn't felt any more womanly than she ever had. It had hit her then that she could think of her body not as specifically female, but as something altogether different. Hers, a flesh machine, shifting pieces around to create a person. Her breasts, which she'd not really known what to do with or how to feel about, suddenly had a specific practical purpose. It had allowed her to retreat from the concept of gender entirely, grounding herself only in the physical reality of using her body to make another, two heartbeats blending in a rhythm that was nothing but human. She does not know how to articulate this to John. It's convoluted and personal, and she isn't sure if she can do the overwhelming goodness of it justice. But then, Harry Anderson is his too, so she knows she has to try.
I don't know. This life I've been living gave me Harry Anderson, but that kind of outweighs anything else just for me personally. And it's not like I ever totally quit thinking about that gender stuff. I just found a different way to work it out, and then maybe I was originally gonna.
Touching those huge, inarticulate thoughts with words feels bigger than she expected, and tears prick at the backs of her eyes. She shakes her head and laughs before John can start crying too.
But, John, we're just adults. We're not dead. I don't know. I mean, we're only what? Barely middle-aged in regular human years? We got all kinds of hypothetical, but still probably finite eternity to work our shit out. Who the fuck knows? It's not like you figure out who you are when you're 23 and then spend the rest of your whole life it's just sitting back watching your shit fall apart or not. I mean, maybe that's been it for you so far.
Ouch.
I just don't think I'm anywhere near done building those Roxy self-actualization drain stops. Who the fuck can say how much more I got lined up? Same goes for you. If you're willing to look at this life as more than a cosmically pointless dead-end failure, that is.
I guess there's literally nothing to do but keep moving forward. I may as well not be a big fucking downer about it if I don't have to be.
That's the spirit. We've got 1,000,000,000,000 lifetimes ahead of us, John. You don't even know all the ways you get left to fuck up in it. How's that for some inspiration?
It's pretty fucking inspirational, Roxy.
They both smile, and it somehow felt more real and warm than it was before. Maybe the cushion of years and lack of pressure makes it so, but she doesn't question it too closely. She doesn't want to go back to where she'd been with him, but knowing they'd both been there together feels like enough.
Thank you for trusting me with this personal stuff. I know partly you were telling me all that to kick my sad sack ass, but I know you don't talk about this kind of thing every day.
To be real, I hadn't even let myself think about it every day, so thanks for letting me ramble at you out loud instead of just almost thinking about it once every few years.
I guess sometimes it takes hearing the same shit over and over until it sticks. That's mostly a known on myself, by the way.
You were just ripping off those band-aids left and right over here. A couple of professional issue discussers.
Yeah, I'm frankly baffled by how fucking good we are at this. Where was this when we sucked so hard at being married?
Buried under a shocking number of issues is my guess.
Well, it's nice to throw a few off for once.
Feel free to communicate with me instead of spending the next 300 years in a silent prison of your own making if you so desire.
I'm not, like, crying like the rest of you, which, like, I don't know why. Like, I'm just kind of arbitrary, but I am, like, legitimately emotional about this. Like, God.
John nods, and as he opens his mouth to speak, the door opens. Okay. I'm so glad for the long stretches of dialogue, because I actually did have a whole, like, weeping thing. Harry Anderson looks at the two of them, all teary and laughing, and hikes his bag higher on his shoulders, shifting his weight. Roxy sees a muscle tighten in his jaw. Her beautiful, smart boy. She wants to run over and hug him, to protect him from the possibility of pain at talking to his father, but she doesn't. She knows how much he's wanted this, no matter how much he jokes about it. She looks back at John and sees her own awe mirrored in his face. She wills him not to cry, not to fall back on his self-imposed suffering and blame loop. Something about the last hour must have done the trick, though. John stands up, brushes his hands on his jeans, and walks back straight towards his son.
Hey, Harry Anderson. It's really, really good to see you. Do you want to go for a drive?
The muscle in Harry Anderson's jaw clenches for a few more times, but when he smiles, it's genuine.
Yeah, Dad, that could be cool.
Good God. Everything was worth it.
You guys, I'm crying so much.
There's a lot of tears around.
Y'all ever think about gender?
I love them
yeah, I
so
do.
much.
Okay, so I'm actually going to talk a little bit about what this means to me.
Huh?
Because this is this is a character like in middle age talking about her own relationship to gender and childbirth, and not medically transitioning, not delivering a child, make her own conception of her gender invalidated. It's saying fuck TERFs, fuck trans meds. Like, it's one of the most just incredible things I've ever seen in media. It's so far, far away from the typical trans narratives that we see in media, and it reflects the complexity and the wrinkles of actual trans existence, and the way that, things don't always follow that perfect point for point. This is exactly what a trans life is like. And it means the world to me to see a good parent depicted this way. And yeah, thanks Lalo. Thanks Homestuck.
Hi.
Yeah, this trans Roxy thing, like, fucked me up. Like,
It fucked me up too.
I read Meat, and I was, like, sobbing my eyes out, but, like, this shit, like, bro, this shit is breathtaking, bro. Like, literally, like, I just feel like a lot of people just don't understand that, like, being non-binary is it's just so much. It's just, like, coming to a realization about yourself, and this is so good, and I just can't believe that I'm in Homestuck personally, like, me.
Yeah.
It's more like than you would think.